Our next speaker is a former Sierra Sunrise Toastmaster, and once a Sierra Sunrise Toastmaster, you're always a Sierra Sunrise Toastmaster. It's kind of like being born in Nebraska. You know, you're born, you can't help it, but you'll always be a Nebraskan, right, Dean? Okay. He's returning now, and he's working back through the manuals. He is an eternal optimist, and he's working to train and speak on leadership, responsibility, and health wellness. This will be book speech number 10. Inspire your audience, 8 to 10 minutes, and the title will be You're Just Comfortable. Please welcome Dean Miceli.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and our guest. I want to talk to you a little bit this morning as I get started about getting comfortable. What's it take to get comfortable? Or maybe sometimes it's that first cup of Joe in the morning. Start the day out just right, nice and warm. Sometimes maybe it's, cuddling up with your favorite Snuggie on those cold nights. Maybe as we hit the winter time, in front of the fireplace, reading a book. What's it take to get comfortable? Sometimes it's finding that just right position in bed at night, right? Getting the pillows just right so we can get that perfect night's rest. Sometimes maybe it's even trying to figure out how to just right in these vinyl chairs as we sit here in Toastmasters, right? So as you think about that, I want you to think about what's it take to get comfortable. And as you go through that, I want you to throw it all out the window. Get rid of it all. Because what I'm going to challenge you to do today, and what I want to talk about, is I want to talk about getting uncomfortable. Okay? And what I'm going to talk about are some of the ways that we can do that and why we should do those things. Because so many times we think, well, I just want to be comfortable. I'm going to propose what we really want to do is be uncomfortable. Because it's when we're uncomfortable that we see the greatest growth. Think about this. You know, in the next 8 to 10 minutes, I can't share with you all the how-tos and all the specifics on how to get uncomfortable in your specific situations. But what I can do, and what I hope to do this morning, is share with you just a few things that are going to make you think a little bit about what it is you're doing. And maybe what are your comfort zones, and how do you get uncomfortable and get out of those. So let's talk about comfort zones, because we hear this word a lot. Oh, comfort zone. Somebody's just in their comfort zone, or what's their comfort zone? And we have a lot of different comfort zones in our life. Sometimes it can be in our business or career life, right? We settle, all right, I'm not going to get promoted. This is where I'm going to be. All right, I'll settle down right here. Okay, or, well, this is, as big as my business is going to get. Business is bad right now, so I'll just kind of settle and just kind of, I can cover the bills. Things are good. And we start to get comfortable, and we just start to settle for things, right? Sometimes it can be in our finances. Maybe we should do some things different, but man, that would really be uncomfortable. That would mean I'd have to change some things, or maybe not go out as much, and so it's uncomfortable, so we don't do it. We stay in that comfort zone, right? We continue doing what we're doing. As I talk, that's funny, my 21-year-old, we have a 21-year-old son, who often says, Dad, I don't know how 21-year-old kids make it these days. I can't make enough money to cover my rent and do all these things, and I have all these bills, and how am I going to do this? And it's funny, because every time I remind him, those 3 or 4 nights that you went out with your friends last week would probably help you cover your bills if you weren't quite so social. Dad, I can't do that. I have to go out with my friends. So see, he can't get out of that comfort zone of being social and hanging out with his friends, even if it means getting his finances in order. We've got a lot of different areas that we can get comfortable and kind of settle into that comfort zone. It can be in our physical and our physical well-being and our health. It can be, I don't have time to get to the gym. I'm pretty busy. I've got a lot of work going on. I'd like to eat better, but I'll take care of that next year. Right? I'll get through it later. Okay? Lots of different areas that we can get into these comfort zones. Anybody kind of ever felt like they've gotten settled into a comfort zone, or just kind of? Okay, I'm seeing some hands and some heads shaking. Well, give me some areas. What are some areas that you get into those comfort zones?
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters. Okay.
Sleeping in.
Sleeping in. Right. Maybe. Oh, geez, I'd like to get the day started earlier. The snooze button is so attractive. Right. Okay. Yeah, there's lots of areas that we can settle in, right, and we can get into those comfort zones. But as I mentioned to you as I got started, what I want to talk about today is how do we get outside of those comfort zones? How do we break them, and why should we? You know, as we look at our lives and we look at those areas that maybe we're getting comfortable and we're starting to settle in and maybe make do with some things rather than strive for and reach for new higher ground, what we need to do is we need to make and set some goals and some priorities. And another word that we hear a lot is maybe some dreams. Stop and think about it. We've heard so many times in here from so many different speakers about dreams or goals or steps that people took to get to where they wanted to be. And what we have to do is we have to set some of those things, and then we have to start striving for them. And many times we don't know the exact path to get there, but it's just the point that we set that goal or we set that dream and we start in that direction that starts to break us outside of that comfort zone, because all of a sudden we don't know how to do it. We don't know how we're going to get there, but we've made that goal and we're heading in that direction. You know, leading productivity consultant Dennis Waitley says this. He says, "A dream is your creative vision of your life in the future. You must get out of your current comfort zone and get comfortable with the unfamiliar and the unknown." The unfamiliar and the unknown. Oh, that's scary territory. That's uncomfortable, right? We all like to do what we know. We like to hang out where we know how to do things and where we can control things and where we can take care of things. But it's when we get into those uncomfortable places, when we start a new career, maybe as a deputy sheriff from a housewife, when we start doing things that we haven't done before, that we start going, wow, okay, and we start to experience that growth. And I'm going to share with you a little bit of a personal story for me, because 15 months ago, I started on a little bit of a journey, somewhat reluctantly and unwillingly, but I started 15 months ago to manage my weight and to control my health and wellness. And I didn't want to, but there was a new meal replacement product coming out, and they were going to do a study on it, and they wanted some people to participate in this study, and I had some friends kind of pushing me from behind going, "Dean, you should do this. Dean, you should do this." But you know what? I'd been heavy for 16 years. I was probably about 100 pounds over where I should have been, but I was comfortable. I was okay in front of a room. I could still speak and train. I could still get up. I was still comfortable. It's who I was. Some people are tall, some are short, some are heavy, some are thin. I just happened to be one of those shorter, heavier guys. I was okay with that. That was me, right? And I'd gotten comfortable. And a friend challenged me on that as we got started. It was uncomfortable for me because you know what? I had to log everything that I was eating every single day. And I had to log how much activity I was doing every day and how much I was sleeping. And I had to start counting calories. Who counts calories? I hadn't. You know, all I wanted to know is, you know, does it taste good? Great, let's have it, right? That's all I wanted to do. So for me, it was uncomfortable, and it was unfamiliar. I didn't know how to do it, but I made a commitment, and suddenly, because I made that commitment, I had to follow through. So it made me break out of that comfort zone. It made me stop and think about what I was doing. And I can tell you, as I got started, a friend of mine, she said, "Dean, you're just comfortable. You're just comfortable." I kind of passed it off. All right, great, that was great. We're talking about a conversation. And as I thought more and more about what she said, I thought, you know what? She's right. I'm just comfortable. And right now I'm uncomfortable. And this is unfamiliar to me. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do on this, but I'm going to do it. And I made that commitment. And by making that commitment, I was able to personally shed about 101 pounds and about 15 inches from my waist. This is life-changing. And what it's taught me is not so much just about my weight and about health and wellness, but it's taught me that in any area of our lives, we just have to get outside of that comfort zone. We have to get uncomfortable and venture into the unfamiliar and the unknown. And when we do that, we reach those higher places and we realize what we've been settling for wasn't what we really could potentially have. And as I wrap up here, I commend all of you, Toastmasters and our guests, for being here at Toastmasters, because sometimes this is uncomfortable. Stepping up to speak and to present in front of a group sometimes can be uncomfortable and somewhat uneasy. But as you do that, I commend you for doing that. But I'm also going to challenge you to go home and think about your lives. Think about the comfort zones that you have in whatever area of your life it is. For me, it was in my health and my wellness. But whatever area it is for you, think about it. And think about how you get outside of that comfort zone. What's the action that you need to take to get uncomfortable? I'm going to conclude with a quote by John F. Kennedy. As he said, "There are risks and costs to action, but they are far less than the long-range risks of comfortable inaction." Don't get trapped in comfortable inaction. Take action and get uncomfortable, and find out where you can really be. Fellow Toastmasters.